Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of Culture Keepers. Today we got a very nervous Marcie Kuhl.
Special guest.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear what she has to say about Mark. We always love, knocking him down a peg. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe button. We really appreciate all the support we've been getting and the feedback. Hopefully the changes that we're making, they're subtle, but will help out. But yeah, do you have anything you want to add, Mark, before we get into it?
No, I'm excited to see what she has to say and throw me under the bus. It'll be good.
Hopefully.
It'll be good.
Might be surprised.
Awesome. Well, here we go. Welcome.
Who are you and why are you here?
Yeah.
So I am Marcie. I am married to Mark for a long time.
Long time.
Over 30 years.
31 this month.
Yes.
Woo.
Whoa.
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Together
Yeah.
for 33.
It's almost as old as me, guys.
Right.
Cormac could be our child.
Yeah.
Along with a lot of the people that were here.
Right.
And we bought the company from my sister and her husband almost 5 years ago.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I think for me, the first question would be, I really want to get into like the progression of when you guys bought it, some of the stuff you went through, and then how we got here today. But I think the first question would be, what is important to you with culture?
For me, it is having everyone feel comfortable coming to Mark and I with any issues that they have. I don't want anyone to ever feel like we're closed off and not open to suggestions, because I know we're not perfect. I think that's a huge... I'm perfect. You're not perfect. Just didn't want to make you feel bad.
She just did it. Yeah.
But it's important to me that people in our team feel comfortable coming to us with any issues that they have, and I want this to be a great place to work, and I don't want it to necessarily feel like work. I like people to feel included.
Like they can run around with bare feet and stuff.
Yeah, run around with bare feet like poor Kayla.
Kayla's not wearing any shoes, just so you know.
And my big thing is I do not like a lot of conflict. So it's important to me to have a work environment that has low drama and that everyone treats each other with respect.
Cool. I think you've accomplished a lot of that here. Mm-hmm. What do you think, if you were to really boil it down to one or two things, was the biggest way that you were able to accomplish that?
I think one of the big things that we got from one of our coaches, and I'll do a plug for Eric Hatch, is one-on-ones. That's been huge for us. We started those in 2019, I believe, in October of 19, after coming back from a Hatch Mastermind conference, and just getting people's input, what they're struggling with. And those one-on-ones tend to be more personal than they are. There's a lot of times we don't even bring up real estate in those.
Yeah.
Most times, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, and we've brought this up in past episodes, a lot of the one-on-ones end up talking about finances.
Yes.
And making sure people are, structurally sound with their finances, talk about things that are going on at their house, things that are going on personally within the team, not necessarily business-wise. We rarely talk about business in those, for sure.
It is very true, and a lot of it is about relationships, and Mark and I learn from those as well. That's been a big thing. I used to not like getting a lot of feedback because I was like, oh no, what if we're doing something wrong? But I love that now. I love that people will come to us and say, hey, I think we could do this better,
No, I mean, you guys make it feel very comfortable, and I can attest to that. I tell you guys anything that I think about, for sure. Like,
yeah, he does.
I don't know, but I would venture to say I'm probably the most open about some of that stuff.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
But you guys take it really well, and then I think because you do the one-on-ones with each other, you play off of each other too.
Yes.
And I actually find a lot in our one-on-ones that it's like me and you against Mark. So,
Yeah.
right.
It is true.
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
That actually might be accurate.
Which I can
for
tell
most
you.
of them.
Now, if
right.
we ganged up on her, she'd be melting.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's great. One of the things, like I said, I already talked about it. I kind of walk us through like the progression of from when you guys bought it and to where we are now, or even before even the team, because some of the team came on probably around the time I did, a little bit before. So there was that in between too, and then to where we are now. And then obviously we're continuing to evolve and go in different directions. So
Yeah, so when we bought it, shortly after buying it, we burnt it down.
Pretty much. Some purposefully, some not so purposefully.
Yeah. It was quite enlightening, because I told Mark when we bought it, my brother-in-law had said, don't be surprised if people leave. A lot of times when you take over a business, you'll get a lot of turnover at first. And I was very naive in the fact that I thought, no one's going to leave. People like us. I mean, we're likable people. And I thought, then when within a month we had lost a bunch of people, and it was devastating for my personality, because I took it very, very personal. And it wasn't personal. And even if it was, it's really, frankly, none of my business. I've learned over the years that I have no control over what people think, and I can't let it control me. But shortly after that, I think we started doing some coaching with how we can kind of turn stuff around, and we also did some coaching with the previous owners, just because when we bought the company, we had to get a huge loan, so we had basically everything.
Oh yeah, we hawked everything.
All of our credit cards were completely maxed out. It was very, very stressful, and now we went from him being a 1099, which we still were, but now we both are, and it was pretty stressful. And
we've never had money issues throughout our whole lives, right? We've paid our bills the minute we get them. We don't wait. We've never, 30-some years, we've never had a late payment, and now all of a sudden, we still didn't have a late, but we made it. We didn't do one late payment, but boy, I'll tell you, it was
stressful.
Yeah.
At one point, it was December of 2018, I went to Amy and Brett and said, I don't know if I can do this, because we were stressed. We were supposed to be taking our kids on vacation to California, and I went to Brett and Amy, and I was crying, and he's like, do you need me to buy it back? And I'm like, no, I mean, I want to do this, but it was so stressful. And I didn't like the uncomfortableness of being tied, to all this debt that we had. It was stressing me out. And
I was like, it's good.
He's fine. A lot of stuff doesn't stress him out.
But we're not getting shot at. It's good.
We'll figure it out.
One of the best pieces of advice, and I still tell myself this to this day, and I tell this to my kids, and I think I've even said it to people around here. Brett said to me, you're broke, you're not poor. Poor is a mindset. Broke, you can get out of.
Sure.
And I
can always make more money.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things. I was worried about, doing coaching and spending all this money on advertising and all that stuff. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe we should dial that back. And that was Brett's like, if you want to make money, you have to spend money. And we were able to pay the business off in 3 years?
3 years on a 5-year loan, so we did it in 3.
Yeah. And
thanks to you guys.
And I remember how open you guys are super open about how the company runs, which is super unique to to pretty much any company. We are very well aware of where the company lies, but I think that brings ownership for us.
Yeah.
We just had a conversation a couple weeks ago about the baseball games and how we we're going to do that, right? And really what came out of it for me was everyone was trying to figure out how do we keep the company okay, and everyone pitch in together. Even though there was back and forth about how we do it, everyone still had the same great intentions of trying to
just being able to keep that going and expand on some advertising. And I mean, that's what I love about this team, because I think in the past that would have never happened. And I love that everyone takes ownership.
Well, they kind of built it with us, right?
They did.
I mean, we were very open and said, listen, we're not in trouble, but we're going to have to make some serious changes, or we do some serious input into each and every one of you. So I made a pact to you guys back then and said, listen, you give me your loyalty that you're going to hang around here, and this is what I'm willing to do for you. And we dumped a bunch more money in, and you guys took it and run with it, and you owned it, and it was awesome. So yeah,
that's been huge.
What do you think was that transition then from that hard period of when you burnt it down? Was there a point where you knew that it was starting to flip finally?
I think I was feeling like it was starting to flip, and then some more people left, and then it would throw me back down to the, total meltdown and calling our coaches and like, what do we do? And they're like, it's fine, you're going to be fine. And then, you know, I think once we got past the fall of 19, and we started bringing on our own people.
Our people, yeah.
Because at that point we still had the same people that were here when we bought it. Once we started bringing on our own people, I think that was the huge shift.
Sure.
That was a huge shift for us.
What, and when you say our people, I mean, I got to ask, what does that mean? Right.
To me, it's like the people that we hired that have the same value and personalities, morals that we have. And I
Yeah,
think
because
that
we've
was a
gone
huge
against
shift.
a lot of corporate rules. You know, don't hang out with your people. You know, keep business and work separate. Don't hire married people. We've done it all the opposite way. And I love it. You know, Tony Robbins says, you know, if everyone's running this way, you might want to stop and turn around and go back the other way. And I've always had that mentality, going, hold on a second, why can't we do this?
Sure.
If you do the right thing. So I think that was kind
And
of cool.
we get a lot of flack sometimes from other coaches,
Yeah.
and when we go to summits, like, why would you have that many married people? Because they're, you know, if you lose one, you're going to lose them both. And it's like, well, I mean, we've known these people for a long time. So.
And I don't have that mindset. It's
Yeah.
like, I just don't.
Well, I think that's kind of a scarcity mindset anyways,
Yeah.
really. If you're worried about losing two people, because hiring somebody on because you're worried about losing
Yes.
them, I think that would be a total wrong mindset.
Mhm.
Then yeah, you probably will lose them because
Yeah.
you think you're going to lose
Exactly.
them. So, and
And
You get what
I
you
do
focus on.
I
Yeah.
agree that is very true, because I think that was part of the problem too, is being able to open up and not worry about people leaving, because I think I had some severe PTSD for those first 2 years of people constantly leaving, and I have a tendency to open up and really grow close to people, and then they would leave, and it was devastating. And that has been a huge growth piece for me, is knowing that, and I think you've said this, if people leave, like, you can't take that personally. It might not be the best place for them, or maybe they outgrew it.
Right.
And it's
And that's
not,
what happened to a lot
yeah.
of them, right?
yeah.
It's like, I want to help you get where you want to get, because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not happy here with what the culture, what we've done here, it's okay. We're not everyone's cup of tea,
Yeah.
right?
And it's not for
Yeah.
everybody.
Sure.
You know, some people don't want to hang
We're
out with other
crazy.
people.
Right, yeah, a little bit. Oh, he is, but she writes the check, so I'm not,
So you're not going to tell
I'm not
her
gonna
she's
say
crazy.
she's crazy. No,
That'll be later.
I think though too, like with the married couple thing,
Mm-hmm.
there's something to be said for like how that happens, because you hired the one spouse and the other spouse almost like, hey, you gotta come look at this. Hey, you gotta
Yes.
come check this out. Hey,
Yes.
to the point where they were almost asking their spouse to come work with them, which is totally a
Yeah.
weird, rare thing, right?
Totally.
It actually happened with 3 of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah.
Except for you guys.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of how they.
So it was funny
ended up
because it was well, when Kara started with us in April of 19, you know, we met Curtis right away, and Curtis would go on all these trips with us to all these real estate events, and he just fit right in. That nobody at those real estate events questioned whether or not he was actually an agent, which he wasn't. He was just, but he likes to socialize, and he can have great conversations with people, and then he,
Pursued us. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then he's
Pursued
like,
his
I think I
license
want to
and-
get my
yeah.
license, and then, you know.
I think that's the cool piece too, because right, so because Amber's come to all the events
Yes.
and Freya's come to all the events,
Yeah.
and Freya's the one little girl running around,
Yep.
and everyone knows who she is on the other teams. You know, I remember like Colton Whitney, like, oh, Freya, the next time we saw her, you know. So like we go to these events and people not only know our team but know our team's spouses
Yep,
and
the
the kids
Yep.
and stuff like that. So. So yeah, I think that just immerses the whole family in the culture, and like you said, people that think like you guys, and so we have this mind share. We're all going in the same direction,
Yeah.
which is typically opposite
It's,
from.
and it is. I mean, I think that's huge. I mean, that same thing happened with Tim and Andy. You know, Andy would come home every day just excited about her job, and Tim was like, "What is going on here?" Like,
Well, I got grilled.
Yes,
I got
he
grilled.
did.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to have him on to tell that
Yeah.
story.
I
because
can't
it's
wait.
gonna be
yeah.
amazing.
We'll hold that for Tim's story, because that's going to be a
but
good
it
one.
was really good. But you know, we've known them since we were in high school, so that was. I mean, we knew what they were like, and. But to play more on that piece that you said with Freya, knowing everyone knows who she is, I mean, that's the other portion of it that I love about this office is our kids coming in here all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, our son comes in here
Every day.
every
Even
single
when we're on
day,
vacation,
even
our
when
kid
we're
comes
not
Yeah,
here.
he comes and hangs
He
out.
does.
He actually comes a little bit more when you guys aren't here.
He really does. He probably goes up here and plays darts.
Yeah.
He loves it here, and you know, he always says, "Well, if it doesn't work out with whatever I'm going to go to school for, I mean, I can always, you know, I can be a realtor."
I said,
I'm
you're
like,
going to have
I
to
don't
go
know.
through the process,
You'd have to
kid.
go through
Yeah.
the process. The
Yeah.
team might not want you,
Yeah.
but I love that our kids feel comfortable enough to come here. Whenever there's an issue, they know that they can call anybody from this team. That is huge.
Yeah.
And we've
huge.
called on each other to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We've had people help out other people's kids that were broke down, got in a car wreck or whatever that
Mm-hmm.
that other team members have picked up on. So that's part of the culture that I love here as well. But
Yeah,
it's not about me, it's about you.
Yeah.
No, that is.
So yeah, well, the one thing too I would ask is because you talked about hiring your people, and I know that process has changed. We don't need to talk about the process
Yeah.
itself necessarily, but what caused you to implement some of the things, and if there is one piece of the process that you think has been probably the biggest change that has allowed you to filter through applicants and find the culture piece that fits what we are
Right.
doing.
I think so. When we started out, we were only doing a couple pieces of the hiring process that we've been taught through coaching. We were doing a couple steps, maybe.
Just a couple, 3 steps.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we would skip all the rest. And then, you know,
Because we fall in love with them. It's like, oh, these guys are great.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the other hard thing. So
Especially Mark, he was trying to offer the job as the
oh,
first time he met
Mark
the person,
offers
right?
false hope to everybody. Everybody thinks they're getting a job, and I'm like, Nicole and I had to kick him off the interview process for phone
I just
interviews.
want you to like me. I mean, come on.
So that process went from, it should be like a 15 to 20 minute phone interview, and when we had Mark in there helping us with them, it was like 45 minutes to an hour. And Nicole and I are like, what is going
Imagine that.
on? Like, this should not be taken. So we had to kindly uninvite him from those.
Yeah.
But
Which, again, culture is fantastic because you guys had the wherewithal and the knowledge from doing what you did before to say, get the hell out.
Yeah.
You're interrupting these because we're not getting where we need to get.
Yeah.
We're not getting
We just
things
need to
done.
get a
and
little
I had
piece.
to realize that, that is so true. I need to be further on down the road.
Yeah. So I guess part of that process, I think one of the big things that we've learned over this whole process is we can't skip the steps. The steps have to happen even if we're in a hurry to hire somebody.
And we're going to have red flags.
And the
Trust
red
our
flags
gut.
is the huge thing because
Yeah.
we've been known to, we'll have a red flag and then we're like, well, but I'm sure they're fine. And then we've discovered, no, we need to listen to those red flags. And is it a red flag that we need to worry about, or is it a red flag that can be, that we think that we can mold?
Dug into.
Yeah,
figure
or
out
dug into more.
about it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure.
There was something else I was going to add on to that. I think, and part of the in the interviewing piece is finding people that are hungry but not commission bred. I don't want people in here that's all they're about is they just
Sure.
need to do a transaction after transaction because we're about building relationships with people. And I think that's part of the interviewing process is trying to figure out what that person is like.
I think too, like you guys, we talked about early on the transparency that you talk about with like the finances of the company.
Yeah.
We're also very transparent on how the interview processes are going,
Yes.
so everyone eventually gets to have their piece and say to, you know, if there is a red flag, we can talk about it, or even if there wasn't at first, and we get further along and
Yes.
something happens, that we can voice that opinion and be able to without it being like dismissed. you know,
Exactly.
because we're just
Yeah, we
transparent.
investigate it for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas before it was like, no,
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll
I mean
be fine.
we've had that where we've had
Yeah.
red flags and then we've overlooked them because we're like, oh, but they're just so great. They make such a great culture fit. And then
Yeah.
down the road we realized, no, that's why we couldn't hire them. So
One of the funny parts I always get a kick out of too is when we're done with the team aspect of the interview is we'll talk a little bit right there, but we usually go our separate ways, and then everyone's going around to each
Yeah.
other. What'd you
So
think?
what'd
What'd
you
you
think?
think? What'd you
Yeah.
think? And then it just like, and then eventually we'll talk about it as a group, but it's like everyone digesting it, and each person is, what did you think? What do you think? What's going on here? What about this?
Yeah.
I heard this. You know?
See, and I
That's
love
been
that
so fun.
because things get caught, things don't get missed. To have one person do an interview and 45 minutes later you hire them for a job is so reckless.
Yeah.
We just can't do it. right?
Mm-hmm.
We have such a good thing going on here. We want to make sure we protect that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's why it takes so long to get here.
And I think that's why it's important that everyone's involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's ownership there too. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely ownership, right? I mean, we've had even recent applicants where, we ended up not hiring them because there wasn't actually red flags at the beginning, and then something happened as the time was going on. I think we even conditionally offered some people. And, you guys weren't here, I don't even think, for that meeting. So we even had it amongst ourselves when you guys weren't here.
No, that's right, we weren't. We were gone.
Andrew and I brought a concern up in the meeting, and we had a discussion, and then we sat on it for a while until you guys got back.
Yeah.
So, and then I was gone, so I didn't even know what happened until I got back. But
no, it's very true. And that's the great thing about this group, is because we're all very different, but we're all looking for the same goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's things about each one of us with our personalities that will look at things a little bit differently and think of things that maybe somebody else wouldn't have thought of.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important. And the fact that they'll voice it instead of going down the road going, well, I kind of thought that, but I didn't want to say anything.
Right.
No, just say it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is everyone here is pretty ultra protective, and I feel like we're actually have gotten more and more protective as it's gone on, so we've been more and more selective.
Yeah.
So it's getting harder and harder to join. I don't know if some of us would have passed.
You definitely would.
I probably would have. Yeah, mine was way too easy compared to what we do now.
You would have passed.
You've been such a great addition here. It's not even a question. But
I appreciate it.
The bigger thing is that everybody here has bought in. Call it drinking Kool-Aid, if you will. But I mean, they bought into these personality profiles and these what makes someone a good team player or whatever, which is fantastic. And you're really good about picking some of those traits out. We're all overlook it and like, oh, they're great. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second. So all those different personalities, like you said, make a huge impact on how we move forward. So it's made the hiring process easier as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Because we do have buy-in from everybody.
Right.
We're not dropping someone in your lap, say, by the way, you're training this guy or this gal, right?
Right.
Everybody knows who this person is by the time you even get to train them, and you already feel like you're friends and want to go have a beer with them.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have any other questions before Marcie, before we wrap this thing up? Or
You stressed out? How'd it go?
It went
You
good.
okay?
Oh,
See, not too bad. Not too bad.
4 years ago, boy, there's no chance you'd get out here.
Hey, you know what? You and Kayla were like, I don't know if she'll say yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll ask her. She'll say yes.
Would you have said yes if I asked you?
Probably not.
Yeah, there you go. See? Thanks, Cormac.
Yeah. No, awesome. It was awesome having you on here, Marcie, because I think it's an insight. It's Kuhlture Keepers, so, and your last name's Kuhl, and we couldn't be able to be the team we are without you. So super thankful for you.
Thank you so much. Cormac, you didn't cry.
There you go.
I did cry.
Yeah, there it is.
I did cry. So, but
that's why we love Cormac.
right?
He's great.
I know.
Yeah.
We told you we haven't had that many tears.
No.
When Kara was here. We did, but that was about it. Kyle didn't make us cry.
Yeah.
Anyways, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate you guys. This is episode 6, Kuhlture Keepers, KUHL. Any final thoughts?
Thanks for watching, and the feedback is always great, and we're just here to help everybody be better people and better cultures wherever you're at, and that's what we're doing this for.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.